The very word secrecy is repugnant. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation. No secret is revealed. That I do not intend to permit.
In a modern society, it is safe to say that we all want information, and we want it as quickly as possible. Information surrounds us everywhere we go. It is extremely powerful. It can bring a country together, or it can make it fall apart. Today, we have many different ways of accessing information. It is quite ordinary to find someone browsing the web or watching television. Also, communications play a vital role in the diffusion of information. Think of how many people talk or text on their phones every day. These modern information technologies spread information almost instantly, making it very difficult to control. This is why it is very unlikely to stop the spreading of information completely. The act of withholding information from people is called censorship, and although sometimes beneficial, the consequences have brought upon large controversies in history. During times of war, unreleased documents were leaked into societies and made it imperative for governments to prevent mass panic through the means of censorship. The United States has not been an exception. The United States has faced many problems involving censorship. Throughout the nation's history, there have been many instances where information has caused conflict. War is among many instances where information is dangerous. This was exemplified 50 years ago during the Vietnam War. The revolution of censorship involving the Vietnam War in the United States brought upon a reaction that caused many reforms in the way information is handled in the United States today.
In 1955, the Vietnam War broke out, just 10 years after the conclusion of World War II. Originally, the majority of the American society supported the war, as many felt that they needed to support American values by protecting the South Vietnamese people from the communist-led Viet Cong.
I don't think I ever opposed it. I didn't like it, but we felt at that time that it was necessary.
Throughout the first few years of the war, support remained, but eventually support for the war began to fade.
Most Americans supported the war because they believed what the government was telling them about the war.
The American society began to oppose the war, and many protests broke out throughout the country.
You signed up, they told you that about approximately when you would be drafted. Because I was concerned about being drafted, I didn't want to go to war.
The people protested against the United States' involvement in the Vietnam War, and these protests were for various reasons. A great factor leading to these protests was that many people thought that the United States was not right to intervene in the war.
I think the Vietnamese should have been left to determine their own fate.
The Vietnam War is considered one of the first modern wars. There are many reasons why this is the case. The Vietnam War was one of the first televised and thoroughly covered wars. The media influenced the American people like never before. In many cases, the media turned the American people against the government by pointing out its wrongdoings during the war.
It's often referred to as the first television war. The idea that battle scenes are brought into the living rooms and homes of the American people.
The influence of the media soon became overwhelming. Newscasters such as Walter Cronkite were very influential in swaying the public's opinion of the war. Statements made by Cronkite often emphasized the less than perfect parts of the war.
It seems now more certain than ever that the bloody experience of Vietnam is to end in a stalemate.
The government was unsure of what to do, and they were faced with a decision. Would it be better to release all unbiased information, or should certain things be censored? There were many different views regarding how the United States should handle information.
I think some cases it's right for the government to censor if it is for national security.
Some government officials felt that it was better to keep certain information undisclosed, while others, such as President John F. Kennedy, felt that it was their duty to relay information to the people.
It was the height of the Vietnam War in 1966 when Congress passed the Freedom of Information Act. This act allowed the release of government documents into the American society. It was passed in an attempt to please various government officials and many members of the American society by eliminating the barrier of secrecy.
So there was much about the Vietnam War that the American people did not know.
I didn't think that there was information kept secret at the time, but we all found out later that some of it was, yes.
This bill was supposed to release all previous undisclosed documents. However, in 1971, just 5 years after the act was passed, a conflict arose that grabbed the entire nation's attention. It was the Supreme Court case, the New York Times versus the United States. The Pentagon Papers was a document with a large collection of information involving the Vietnam War. Daniel Ellsberg was a military analyst who had access to those Pentagon papers. Seeing how the government was concealing this, Ellsberg wanted to get out the secrets to the American society. With his colleague, he photocopied the 7,000-page document in order to release the information to the general public.
He began to surreptitiously copy these documents that he had access to. He had some help in doing that. He approached several congressmen and senators to tell them about them and to see if they would release them. None of them would do it. And ultimately, and remember, this was a very, very big photocopying job, especially when you have to do it secretly. By early 1971, then, I think in February of 1971, he began to discuss the possibility of releasing them to the New York Times.
They published portions of the study which revealed that the United States government had misled the public regarding its intentions during the war. The government attempted to prevent further publication of the documents in the newspaper, but the New York Times shot back, stating the prevention of publication would violate the First Amendment, more specifically, the freedom of press. After going to the Supreme Court, it was decided that the New York Times would be permitted to publish the Pentagon Papers. This was a revolution in a way information was handled in the United States. The United States attempted to censor information, but the American society prevailed in the end.
Soon after they were published, the Pentagon Papers caused anger, distrust, and even sadness amongst the people of the United States. The information that was released by the New York Times caused support for the war to plummet. Americans knew that they were no longer winning the war. It was all just a lie. The people were outraged and protests ensued. The American society already suspected foul play by the government in the Vietnam War, and the release of the Pentagon Papers only confirmed their suspicions. The release of the Pentagon Papers reformed the government in a major way. Before the Vietnam War, the media was unable to obtain such a vast variety of information and distribute it so efficiently. And as the people of the United States now had such an immense access to information about the actions of the government had to change how it dealt with international affairs.
In the present day, it's commonly known that the government does not share everything with the general public. The government has become considerably more secretive as new technologies have been revealed throughout the years. However, these new technologies also give people the power to unveil this hidden information. In April of 2010, hidden video, photo, and text files were uncovered from Operation Iraqi Freedom. These leaked documents show footage of Iraqi civilians under fire from U.S. soldiers, and caused a lot of controversy between society, media, and the government.
Come on, fire! Roger.
The government, in a quick response, made an attempt to shut down the website. However, the support from out-of-country hackers made it impossible to bring this website's whistleblowing to a halt.
We are taking aggressive steps to hold responsible those who stole this information.
Quit making national heroes out of those who steal secrets and publish them in the newspaper.
Julian Assange, spokesperson and editor-in-chief of WikiLeaks, is known as the modern-day Daniel Ellsberg, and fully supports the downfall of concealment and censorship of information by the government. Because of the documents uncovered during the Vietnam War, and because of the reactions from society, we have acknowledged the fact citizens are kept in the dark and have many ways of bringing truth to light.
Censorship and concealment are still in full force by the government, but now, people have new and different methods of bypassing them.
With modern technologies, we are able to counteract censorship and give people the right to freedom of information.
Though the times and technologies are always changing, the reactions of the people to censorship remain the same.
The introduction of new technologies continues to aid and revolutionize the fight against censorship.
The continuing fight against censorship by people like Daniel Ellsberg and Julian Assange has reformed the way we think of overcoming the concealment of information today.